Brian White is, if nothing else, Brian follows the factories. I don't know what else he's known for. Well, a couple of things, but anyway, Nepal.
Yeah.
I think Nepal you're known for.
I am
Was
known
that
for Nepal. I'm going back to Nepal in just 2 weeks, covering the auto show. I've got some unbelievable interviews scheduled, lined up, because I have had an opportunity to show how my coverage works in Nepal. A lot of people were skeptical the first time. Who is this guy? And now they've seen my coverage and they want to participate. Got some great stuff coming.
very, very cool? So that'll be when we open the Nepal factory, you will be very familiar with the neighborhood. All right. So we're not going to go around like we have so many times before. We're not going to go to factory. We will go territory to territory. And the
Hmm.
most important territory, it's not the most important territory in terms of numbers, but it's probably the most important territory in terms of the numbers that we will reach in the third quarter, which I'm already predicting will be over 500,000.
Hmm.
But Europe probably holds the key. We've already dramatically increased the throughput on, or the number of vehicles being built in Berlin. And now we want to know if we can sell them all. So, based on the numbers that are just starting to come out today, Brian, what are we seeing? Are we going to make it? Are we going to use up every one of those units?
So what we saw, uh, the big report, I saw two of them from Clean Technica only cover through June because some manufacturers take ages to get their numbers out. And what we saw is if you look in the A class of autos, Tesla doesn't have one. They don't show up. B, C, they don't show up. And then the 3 and Y are both in the D category. Okay, D class it is. And while the A class, the number one car sold maybe 4,000 in June, the B class, kind of the same thing. C, you're getting up in the 9,000 range. And then you get to the D class, and Model Y sold like 38,000. Model 3 sold like 32,000 or something like that. Astronomical numbers. So when you look at the total sales for Europe, Tesla's number one. I mean, they're crushing it almost entirely with the Model Y, but a ton of Model 3 as well. So the numbers are huge. If you look at number two, uh, total for all of Europe, it is the BYD Song slash Seal.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, the Song and the Seal are two completely different cars. That is their 3 and their Y, and you combine them together and included the hybrid numbers. They are broken out, but if you just remove the hybrid numbers, it falls to number 3, even though it's two cars. In Europe, Model Y doing very, very well. If you look at the worldwide picture, it's the same picture. Model Y is number one across all markets. Now, it could be that we're only looking at the EV charts. That's possible. Uh, because I don't remember seeing like the RAV4 or anything on there. But for EVs, which are still growing in market share worldwide. France, I think, is over 30% EV in terms of new sales now, while EVs have absolutely sputtered and stalled in the US. Other countries are still having adoption upticks like crazy. Mexico and Canada, South America, Asian countries, European countries, pretty much everywhere. Little flat in Africa, but it's coming along as we will see firsthand in December when I go to Ethiopia to cover it in person.
Right, right. So I understand that you had some special information or knowledge about Colombia, of all places.
Yeah, Colombia. Well, first of all, the car is too expensive. Model Y is too expensive. We know that. No country outside of the ones that you and I go to as tourists could possibly afford a Tesla, let alone a Model Y. Model Y is the best-selling car, the best-selling EV by far. It is up 61% year over year, but they only launched last year. So how good is it? Well, 1 in every 12 cars sold is a Model Y. 8% market penetration. 8% are Model Ys. That's not just, I mean, if this was, like a Ford Escort, I'd be like, well, I get it. It's not the best car, but it's the best value, maybe. So they would have I could see that. But a really nice car, a premium car, a comfortable, spacious, fun car, 8% in Colombia. That's that's amazing.
I haven't spent. In fact, the only South American country I've been to uh, yeah, it was that one. What's wrong
Mm,
with my brain today? It's Caracas, Venezuela.
mm.
It's the only South American country I've ever been to, and well, if you can't, do you count Curacao? Anyway, Venezuela, and I didn't really spend. I was there for one day. It was a cruise, so I don't really know a ton. I've sold into South America, both Argentina and Chile, but I don't know a ton about it. Isn't there a middle class in every one of those countries? Isn't that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And an upper class in every one of those countries. The middle class might struggle to buy, a $30,000, $40,000 car, but I find that's true of the middle class here. So, but all these countries also have an upper class. When I was studying India, because I wanted to figure out if they could build a factory there, if it would make sense. And the answer was, uh, logistically, yes. Politically, no. We're really trying to keep manufacturers from other countries out as long as possible so we can play catch up. Not the red sauce, but the
Yes.
physical act. But the what we find is that if you just look at the top 1-2% of India by population, that's a lot of people able to buy a car of kind of any price. If they had enough sales there, it could do well. With the not great import restrictions, the cars are just kind of too expensive for India for what you get. For the value proposition compared to other vehicles, it's just not great. So that's why they've faltered in India. They started the price too high, I'm confident. And I think there are people at Tesla who would agree. So what you see is that in these countries, to me, it's not just that they're going into more countries, not just that they're going into little countries. It's that if a country like Colombia or Chile can still sell the cars, that means maybe it's time to continue expanding into additional markets. Uh, and there are a lot of markets left to go. Uh, and unlike Toyota, Toyota has no new markets to open. Their sales can only go up if they, I guess, cut prices or
Or with
make,
something new that's really amazing.
yeah, Tesla can just
Yeah.
add more markets.
Yeah. Okay. So some of the markets they added last year are roughly last year would include like Japan. Have we gotten any updates? I mean, the numbers that were coming out of Japan were just nuts. Is
Yes.
any update on that?
So Japan and Korea, very exciting. Don't go there. Never try to sell there. They have strong domestic brands. And that's true. You want to go to Korea and compete against Hyundai and Kia, who sell good electric cars. Yeah, I think I want to do that. Really? Okay. You're going to go to Japan and try and compete with, name your 15 favorite Japanese brands? Yeah, they've been importing to both of those countries, and both of them, Tesla is rocking it. Now, I haven't seen the latest numbers, but everything through the first half says these are a market winner. And if you've had a chance to drive the updated Model Y as of, a year and a half ago, it's a very good car. And now add to that the YL, which has a lot more upgrades to it than we had previously realized. Kyle Connor just released a video on it. The YL has an interesting new mode. For your suspension, you've got comfort and sport. It has a third mode, rear comfort. That's a chauffeur car. It's tailored. The ride is tailored to be most comfortable in the back.
Wow.
Ah, unbelievable. They updated the super manifold, the third generation of heat pump, so that at the interface where the two pieces come together, they've actually cut grooves to better insulate the hot parts from the cold parts so that it doesn't bleed as much into the other valves. They put on heat rejection glass so that even on a sunny California day, directly under the glass, you're like, it doesn't feel hot. I don't feel heat coming in. That's amazing. So they've done a lot to make it not just a better size, a better shape for certain use cases, but just plain a better car. And that's really showing.
Some
Uh,
somebody the other day was complaining there wasn't enough seat in the enough room in the third row, and my comment was only that if you are consistently, like day in and day out, transporting six people, then probably if you're consistently doing that day after day, you're probably a family.
Hmm.
There are almost no families left in America that have more than four kids. I
Hmm.
mean, almost none. I mean, when I talk about my kids having four, I have four grandchildren in one family and three in the other, people are like, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So if you have four kids, now are all of them uh,
Full grown adults.
full-grown adults? No, because then they move out. Oh, at least some of them do.
Right.
And are they all guys? Are some of them ladies? Like one of my daughters is only 5 foot tall, and
Hmm.
the other one's 5'3".
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that every family, with maybe a couple of exceptions, um, come to mind. There's one or two people in the country that have five or seven kids or something. I think you can get your four kids and yourself and your spouse into this car every single time.
I would agree 100%. The comparisons I've seen where people are really trying to find a reason why L is too small ignore so much reality. On X, John Stringer and Joe from Tesla Owners of San Joaquin Valley both piled into the third row and took a picture. Those dudes are both over 6 foot. They looked a little snug in there, but I've tried to put 6 foot tall people in the back of the 7 seat Model Y, and it's hilarious. I do not recommend it. And then, of course, I closed the hatch because that's something I would do. So there are it fits better than people realize. I say, well, I'm an Uber XL driver, and I need well, get an Escalade,
Right.
because if you're driving an Uber XL and the person accepts that vehicle that's a YL,
Yeah.
that's on them.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I did a lot of Uber XL rides in Mexico when I went with my family, and they were all this little off-brand Toyota. It
Mhm.
said Toyota. It wasn't really a Toyota. It was some other brand like Daihatsu or something rebranded. And it was a very small, it looked like a Ford Focus, but with a third row. And that third row was tight. But I understood that. I'm not waiting for an Escalade or a Suburban to roll along. Those
Yeah.
are going to take longer and cost more. And I know that. So if what you need is a ton of space, go buy something with a ton of space. If what you want is the best car out there, there you go.
The YL might be that one.
Might be
All
that
right,
one.
let's see. Yeah, let's see. And then China. China, of course, exports to some of the countries we just talked about. But um, is is China? Do we have any new news on whether China can actually produce more than 90,000, 85 and 90,000 cars a month? Because otherwise, they're hitting it. They're doing it.
So with Tesla, you can always count on a little bit more, but no, we have not seen any evidence that they have changed operations significantly enough to increase throughput. And we haven't seen enough simplification since the 3 and Y refreshes. It's entirely possible we'll see burst rates above that. That may correct next quarter, because when you run at full speed, uh, stuff breaks,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you have to stop and fix it. And so China is, as far as I can tell, maxed out. They may build another factory if Cybercab becomes a reality in that market. They may build another factory if Optimus becomes possible in that market, which is a big unknown. We don't know if that's something that even can happen. But right now, it's just Giga Shanghai, the Megapack factory there, and the supercharger factory there, which builds all the superchargers for China. And as far as I know, the rest of Southeast Asia.
So I did a little conversation with Grok the other day about energy storage and whether the units, whether the megapacks that Tesla uses internally count as part of the deployed.
Okay.
And
What did you find?
Grok says no, that these are for
Hmm.
internal use. Therefore, they do not get counted as deployed
Oh,
because there's not going to be an invoice between the divisions or anything like that. So there's no There's no there's accounting for it, obviously, but the
Hmm.
accounting is not ins and it's not part of your stack. That's
Right.
what Brock thinks. Therefore, it would stand to reason that cyber cabs are Model Ys that go into the fleet would fall into that same category. So when we got so from now on, I think we're going to be wondering a little bit with the numbers that come out on the second of the that are the total number of produced and shipped, whether that produced and shipped will be like deployed and will not include the cyber cabs and the Model Ys that are used internally.
So on Megapack deployment, I'm I'll wait to see what Tesla says because I really do think that if they're electrified, they're deployed, but not maybe on the balance sheet, but they would still count in some way. If they're not, that would explain some of the lower numbers because
Yeah.
we've seen them
Yes.
electrify a lot of them that if they're not counted as deployed, that would be wild. But on Cybercab, those are definitely produced. They might not show as delivered if they're just delivered internally, but it would be very easy to know the numbers because that's a model that is so far exclusively owned by Tesla. And as soon as they're registered with the states, you'd be able to count them.
Yeah, but
So,
yes, I guess the Ys also. Yeah, so you could
well,
do.
the Ys are harder because that is a percentage that the vast majority are being sold. A small minority
Yeah.
are being kept. So that would be a lot harder.
So I suppose the answer would be for Tesla to actually come up with a new line item in
Hmm.
both cases. So I
Hmm.
think we get a little bit more information. All right. Well, did I miss anything important in terms of how we get to 500,000 at this early moment? We're only 1 month into the quarter, but if we're going to get to 500,000, we really need Europe. We obviously need the United States to step up. We need China to just max out, I guess is all we can hope for. What do you think?
Q1 was very strong. Q2 was stronger. Q2 was remarkably strong. Qs 3 and 4 are the car season. If we're going to see big sales, it's going to be in those two seasons. The only drag is the production difficulties with Cybertruck. So, okay, take your 500,000 and round it to 498. I think that'll be fine. Um, and other is now going to include, I assume, Cybercab, I assume Semi. We may see dozens, if not hundreds, of sales of Semi that don't really show up because they're in other as a rounding error. And that's, I think, about it.
Now that you've brought it up, I do have to ask you because it's been on my mind.
Sure.
Have we shipped any semis?
As far as we can tell, it's really tough to tell. People don't go out and spot them the way they do other vehicles.
Right.
Semis just kind of blend into the background. So I can't tell. But what I will say is we've seen them making more and more and they disappear.
Okay.
Surely they're going somewhere. We just don't know where.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good that's going to be my one of my questions for the next quarter. I'd really just like to hear kind of where we are on the ramp. Okay, Brian White, as always, love having you on here. And but there was like not a single really solid off the cuff joke in that entire episode. So
I'm saving them for my channel. Don't worry.
I go, there you go. All right, thank you, Brian, and to all of you out there. It's been great talking to you.